Welcome to Bid on You, the podcast, where we help you navigate the chaos of life and experience the bliss of backing yourself. Hosted by yours truly, Marissa Lee. Every Friday, we sit down with creatives, artists, influencers, and just some regular folks to talk dating, adulting, faith, culture, and all the random thoughts in between. It's time to bid on you. So let's start the show.
The pillow is giving me, I look like Clay at the Love is Blind reunion. So hello and welcome back to another episode of Bid on You. Woo! Made some noise. Hey, made some noise. Hey, bust it. Obviously today, giving Tina from Ball's Burgers. I'm joined by one of my truest, dearest, bestie bops. Who are you?
Maia.
Sharkwall. Like Beyonce. No last name.
I added the last name
Just
in
new.
there.
Yeah, it's new.
And name Maia.
Okay, no, that's not it. Social security number is, if you're looking for her, she lives in bleep, like redacted. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about friendships.
Friends.
I was about to say, how many of us have them? See, friends. Hey, what?
I got
One,
friends
in low place. Why is this pitch perfect? He's screaming. It's just a ripoff. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. Knock it off.
I ran out of songs after that.
His gear, whack. His hair, whack. The way that he dresses, whack.
My friends.
So a big thing the girls are saying these days is it's difficult to make friends in adulthood. And obviously we can attribute that, I'm sure, to, age, proximity, all of those good things. But we're just going to get right in and try to answer some questions that could hopefully help the girls and the guys and the gays and everybody in between. The these and the they. The these?
All y'all.
If you a plant and you looking for some, you at the Arboretum watching
can't
this.
help you if you need that.
Live from the greenhouse. Okay, so before we get started, we need to do a member of the month. So
I was thinking about it on the way
who
here.
you got one? You got one for us?
I don't have one.
I was hoping you did.
But I was like, who is it going to be?
Oh, member of the month. Woo, woo, woo. Everyone's favorite. You know who is the member of the month? Jesus Christ. Because it's about to be Resurrection Sunday. We will serve the Lord.
Oh, yeah, it is about to be Easter.
So happy Easter, Hoppy, in advance.
Jesus is
the reason
the
for
member
the season.
of the month.
and
life.
Hello.
The member of the life.
BCAD, who was and is to come. Okay.
Come
and with
on.
that being said, what do you think were some of the main challenges for you when it comes to making friends in adulthood? Just coming in hot.
Yeah, you said right off.
When was you having a hard time?
So I'm from Texas, and
this ain't Texas,
right? It really ain't.
Really?
And I think the hardest part was realizing, up until I moved out here, I was blessed with parents and circumstances that kept me in a bubble where I was continually kind of just friends by circumstance, but it was with really good people. Like I was in bubbles that I just was the character was there, friendship, funny, like all the good things you want in a friend.
Yeah.
So when I moved out here and I was like, it's not friendship by proximity, it's like by my choice.
Ooh.
And then I had to put in thought to who I was choosing, where I was choosing to be, what I was choosing to do. And at a younger age, we're still young, despite the rumors. But at a younger age, also not having figured out myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm choosing off of what? And just learning that, like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to surround myself with? What do I want to be doing? Because certain friends will have you doing
some of anything. Correct.
And
what do I want to be doing? It's not that. So
yeah. What do I want to be talking about? Like all of those things, I think was very overwhelming to figure out. And then
facts. I feel like too. I mean, this is not even where we were headed, but like you kind of went into this because I was going to ask, like, do you think it's harder when you don't live in like your hometown or you move to a new city? But I think these things mesh together because you really do have to figure out like who you want to be you know, the classic quote of like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I don't know what that voice is, but or like the closest 5 people to you, all those things. Like, that's so true. Like, you're not it. Like, you have to be able to decipher, like, do I want to be someone that's like always talking bad about people? Do I want to be someone that's always negative? Do I want to be somebody that never laughs and is stuffy? Like, do I want to be somebody throwing it back every Saturday night? Occasionally, but
some people are Thursday through Sunday, and the stamina.
My knees don't even work like that anymore.
Right.
So, and all of that's part of growth. So I feel like that's a good point. So half of it is figuring out who you are so you can determine like who's going to help shape that person.
Exactly.
And then do you think, obviously, like we kind of hit on this, but do you think it's harder because we moved to big cities, like versus if you're living down the road from mama and daddy? Like,
yeah,
obviously comfort, but in terms of friends, would you be making new friends in your hometown? I would be like, you didn't go to our high school?
So. I hope you are. But also, if you said, no judgment.
Yeah, that's fair.
But originally, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, when you first get somewhere new, it's like, I'm lonely. One is the lone.
I was going to say, I'm so low.
Okay, shout out Justin.
I saw that clip the other day and I was like, why did we let him get away with this?
He put it all on the track. But yeah, so when I first got out here, I definitely think I knew 2 people. That's it.
A crowd. Three's a crowd.
And shout out them. Still friends with them to this day. But a huge, specifically shout out Corny.
Okay.
When I first got out here, I was like, you all I know, you all I got.
Yeah.
And she was a big push. And we later had it years later, a conversation about it, where she knew that I needed to figure out the confidence to find my people. So she was going to help me in any way she could. And she was like, it was always an open invite, but I also didn't want to coddle you. I didn't want to everything, you know, that's I'm going to help you make all your friends. So that was huge and it helped me grow, but it was hard. It was hard. I had to, like I said, figure all that out. And I think when I was back home, there wasn't going to be much I would have to figure out.
That's so true.
Again, the way I grew up, those people, still love them, still very good friends, and I would have just kept riding with them. Would have kept that going.
I feel like to what Corny said, because I'm more, oh my gosh, like I just think of 21-year-old me. I say this all the time, that like moved here. I think maybe 1 or 2 scattered, so sure, but I wasn't like we kicking it all the time, like to that degree. And I just was like, I don't ever want people to feel, I say it like it was so tragic. It's all part of the plot and great for character building. But I just remember like obviously being in my apartment in Santa Monica, 21 years old, fresh out of college, and being like, so, you know, and I'd like have that. I'm my own best friend. And like, that's so great. But I think I just always like have this, maybe I do coddle folk because I just don't want them to have to like experience that. But on the flip, I've had those situations where I've been like, ooh, what have I let into this house? You know what I mean? It's around my friends, around the people I love. You know, so
jump scare.
Yeah, like they got me, and it wasn't even Halloween. So like fair. Yeah, I think part of it, that's a good point, is like you can be the open invite. I love that. I'm gonna start adopting that. Like, you're welcome to come to this, but it doesn't need to be like, okay, now you are my new project and everywhere I go, you go. T.
I think I even carried that into McKenna. So my best friend.
You definitely did. Yeah.
Just moved out here. And I mean, I somewhat had already talked to her about it. And also McKenna's very independent. So it was easy for me and for her to understand this. But I was like, and she knows this. Love her from the bottom of my heart. Would do anything for her. But I also was like, you're going to figure it out. Like, you're going to...
Punches in the arm.
You know? Like, and she has. She has an incredible friend group that now is also super important for the two of us, because that also just creates, I think, potentially a power dynamic issue, creates a balance issue. Like, if truly she was completely dependent on me for her social life, that could have created a lot of issues.
Yeah, for sure. I think, too, like, I remember being like, oh, okay, well, McKenna's coming. And then I was like, is McKenna here? Like later on, like that. So that's so true.
And part of that is she lives in Pasadena.
Yeah, well.
Far.
If you know anything about LA, is McKenna here? Like the question still stands. I see her every
Jury's
blue.
still out.
Yeah, like when I saw her, she was like, we haven't seen each other since such a, and I was like, we haven't.
Yeah.
I thought she was like, I was like, no, I'm sure there's a month in there. And I tried to insert any social thing that I had been to and picture her there. And I was like, this is a lie. That's not what happened. It's a fallacy.
You were over there.
I was like, and I saw that one hurt. Like literally any girl with brown hair. So hopefully we see her soon. We missed you, McKenna. This is actually a cry for help. How did we meet? I didn't even put that in there. Hey, y'all. I don't know this girl at all. Actually, she just came and sat down in my house.
Yeah.
We didn't even address it.
Fair enough.
Let's do this
we
in a
met
nice way.
our old roommates.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a church out here, made some friends. Trying to really make this short. COVID hit.
Just saying word. Friends. COVID.
Right. I made some friends. We were hanging out a ton before the pandemic really struck. So I had been already over Marissa's house.
Yes,
she
true.
was their fourth roommate. And I think I met her in passing.
They were my other three.
Right.
You look at it.
And pandemic hit. I went home. One of them called me and was like, I'm moving back to Alabama. Do you want my room? And at the time, I was like, bet, easy.
A room and board.
Right. I was like, love y'all's house. Love y'all.
Were you even moving?
Say
like, were you in the market to move? Oh,
yeah. My lease was up.
Oh, yeah.
And
other reasons.
Yeah. And then fast forward, Marissa, I get a voice memo and she's like, hey, girl, no tea, no shade, but you moving in? And
no one told me.
I was baffled. They had not. Well, they told her, but they told her after
As
it was
a
a done
decision.
deal.
Yeah.
They didn't loop her in. Thankfully.
Woo, praise God.
We got along.
Yeah.
And then
I think I like manifested
that. Was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Pandemic 2020.
Oh, wow. 4 years ago.
Yeah. So
that's how we graduated or whatever. It's getting post-grad.
Right.
That is how we met. And so then we lived there together for some time. And then the one went back to Alabama. The other two peeled out to Orange County. I don't even know where they are now. Be blessed. Not in that way. Where are they now? But like they were doing that. So we were like, okay. So then we moved like 3 streets down. Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah.
If you know, that was our apartment. Because woo. And if those walls could talk, y'all would need
I would tell
therapy.
them to be quiet.
Yeah, if those walls could talk.
Yeah.
We'd all start crying.
A cease and desist.
But we had a good time.
Yes.
We did our part. So that's what it comes down to. It's all you can do in this life. It's all you can do. And so we lived there a year. And then I was just thinking this earlier, like we're about to be in our apartments for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's spooky. So that was 2 years ago. And I 100% was like, okay, I'll never see that girl again because that was dramatic, but kind of because I was just like, why are we like, what? Like we're not going to see each other because we don't live together. Oops. But then I feel like Maia like went over the top to be like, that's not true, which was needed. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Eventually. I think like a month or so later, I was like,
So she still has my number.
She's talking to me. We'll probably wear off. So here we are.
2 years later.
So anyway, that's us. What advice would you give someone, back to y'all, on how to meet new people, like where to go, what to say when you see them? Obviously, roommate is not the most, I mean, it happens, especially if you're like looking for someone to live. That's obviously an option. Church, as we said, is a huge one. But yeah, how can I meet some new people?
That part. So it's kind of split. So I know some people are going to be watching this and they're like, I'm not friendly. I'm not an extrovert. I don't like.
I'm not friendly.
I literally met people that are like, I don't like people too much, right? And respect. So if that is your cup of tea, I think where you're picking to meet them matters way more. You got to know what you're into.
Right.
So if you are into sports, maybe join a league, join something where people are into what you're into.
Right. That helps. Then you don't even really have to talk. You just get to be in the company of others.
Exactly. Or if you're, a believer like us, go to church, mingle.
Try to join like a group there if it's a bigger church. You're never going to meet anyone. Or like be like, hey, let me get your number. Let's go to coffee. Like that's so classic church, but like it works. Yeah.
And then also accept invites. I think that that's really hard and an underrated thing is
Zooms
that
in on
if
my
you
Twitter.
have people in your life, whether it's 1 or 20, that ever extend an invite your way that you love or respect, both, hopefully both, say yes. Like go to what, even if you're like, I don't know anybody over there, you'll learn, you'll meet them.
Yeah. You're never going to know anybody over there if you don't go.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
And then for the people that are a little bit more extroverted, kind of like us, friendly comes easily. Just
keep doing what you're doing.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah,
it's not as like thought through. I feel like I've made friends in the most random of places.
For sure. But you have to be open to it. A big thing I would say too, I just thought about that. I think for people that are outgoing and they like have had like, I think there's a mindset of like friends come to you sort of thing. And I remember when I first was living here, I was like, I feel like I'm always the person reaching out. I'll still now be like, hello. You know, sometimes you need to do like balance, obviously. But I realized I was like to the point where I would not reach out to people unless they reach out to me. Like I was like, I'm not inviting you because people reach out to me. Like that's how it goes. Like, which is kind of like, well, okay, girl. And I can remember like overcoming that to be like, okay, reach out and just text people and be like, do you want to do this? Like, would you want to go here? And then it was like normal. And now I can't, it's like funny to think of that time when I was like, me reaching out to them. But I do think even like as an outgoing person, you can get in your head of like, oh, I received the invites. That's not always the case. Like you have to create a mutually beneficial exchange anyway. Like nobody wants to be the one that's always inviting you somewhere and then you don't ever invite them to go anywhere. Like that's weird. Don't do that.
Also, it helps when you extend the invite, you'll filter through real quick who's for you. Because
if you always busy.
Right. They're always busy or they ain't even hitting you back. Like there's no ego involved in this. Like an invite is a vulnerable thing for sure.
That's a good point.
Like it's spooky, but you'll find like some great people because a lot of people are waiting on their invite.
Yeah.
They would love to go to dinner. They would love to grab coffee, and it means a lot to follow through.
You better talk to these folks.
Yeah.
That touches my heart because like you are that person. Likely if you're watching this, you are a person that's like, I'm waiting on my invite.
Yeah.
And then when you get the invite, you might also be the person that's like, oh, I just don't know if I want to be bothered. Like that's so me. And every time I do it, like we have something to go to later today. And I'm like, okay, God. I'm like trying to make it. Because why is it at sunset and sunset's now at 7? Like, so it's an evening event. I was thinking it was afternoon.
It's beautiful.
What we finna do? Just look at the sun? See. And so prime example. I know though that it's important for me to go show up for that person and also mix and mingle. Like I know that the ends will justify the means. And so sometimes you are tired, you are working all week or you're doing whatever you're doing. Sometimes you just literally don't want to be bothered. And if you have to trick yourself, like go somewhere and stay out. Like for example, this today. So I put on makeup for church and then I set us up to do our shoot so that I would be like, okay, you can go now. Like you're not coming out of bed. Yeah. So try to put those little things in there to help push you along the way. Sometimes you have to trick yourself, which is like, it's fun to interact with people. I'm making it sound like it's a curse.
It's a good little time.
Sometimes though, it takes a lot. Okay. So how can someone overcome being uncomfortable what I just said with going to these social events or gatherings, or especially if you're going like, I don't know anyone there. What am I going to say? Like if I get there, I'm gonna be like, hey, and then what?
It's a practice thing. Like I don't know a shortcut, unfortunately. I wish I did. I definitely think you could think through, like if you're like, what am I going to talk to people about? Whether that's what's going on in the news, you know, like, and I get that. And sometimes I've had to do that of like, what am I going to, but other than that, it's one of those things, like, you know how people are like, you're never going to learn language until you put yourself out there and speak it. Same with getting to know people. Same with small talk. I personally hate small talk, but you got to do it to meet people.
Like I'm good at small talk.
No,
we talk about anything.
Yeah, I'm like, we walking in a circle. I'm
like, well, why don't you have on your green? You know, my 23andMe said like that's really me. But maybe my small talk always becomes schmedium because next thing I'm no pinch, like, and the person's like, ah. So maybe I'm not the one to ask. You're better. You take this one.
But I just think it really takes practice. You'll get more comfortable. Like, trust me. I remember when I first moved out here and I got invited to this game night, I probably spoke 2 words. maybe. and it was a room full of extremely friendly people, you know, but I was so intimidated. I was like, I don't know how
to
speak to you.
Yeah.
I can answer the questions you're asking, maybe, you know.
I will try. They're asking you a question, you're going,
not like that, but it truly is like, you're just like, this is a lot. And take comfort in knowing that everyone feels it's a lot. My friend one time taught me this phrase, spotlight syndrome.
Ooh,
and you can feel a little insecure because you're like, everybody is noticing this or me. And he was like, that's spotlight syndrome. There is no spotlight on you. Like, people aren't thinking that deeply about how you're operating.
Because they're likely thinking the way you're thinking, which is about themselves.
Exactly. So if you're coming with a good attitude,
right?
Be kind.
Don't be weird.
And it'll work itself out.
If you are weird, that's fine. Sorry, I just wanted to say, like, when I was like, don't be weird.
I'm weird.
But like, we're very strange. But like, that's what makes you you. And again, like to what Maia was saying, you'll find your people because if they're like, not her laughing and smiling, then that's not your people.
Not your people.
Unless you don't like to laugh and smile, then maybe that's your people.
But those people are scary anyway.
Well, keep watching Bid on You. Hopefully we can cure you.
Yeah. But
Bid on You to smile.
Yeah. My encouragement though is it truly, as you discover your spaces and as you put yourself out there more, you will gain more confidence.
Practice makes perfect.
Understand that everyone has had an awkward experience. I have been in rooms where I'm like, I don't ever want to be in that room again.
Yeah.
But it's part of learning and it teaches you more about yourself. When I know what rooms I don't want to be in, it helps me refine what rooms I do.
And then it makes me more grateful for them because I feel like reflecting back on the past, I'll be 6 here in May, a baby. And reflecting even on the early days, that's so crazy. But I think like the whole remember the things you have now are like what you prayed for. So sometimes I'll look around and be like, look around. But I'll be like, wow.
Come on, Hamilton.
It feels good to be known.
Yeah.
And I don't really I know that's a feeling, especially if you've moved somewhere or your friends have moved. Like when you get older, everybody lives different places across town. And there's something to say, like shout out to homies that's been rocking with me since Payne Elementary. You know who you are. There's something to say about like picking up the phone, you know, talking to like those people. That'll never get old. But over time, you can find people here that will meet your needs too. And it won't always be having to articulate those to your blue in the face. Like eventually it will get to a place where it's like if Maia and I get in a fight at this point, I'll be like, well, you know me well enough to know not to do that. And I know you well enough to know, like, you know what I'm saying? And there's a basis there that and so with that basis, it's like not necessarily like expectation, but it's like with trust comes that responsibility. And at first, I know this is like a disclaimer. It'll just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite? It's like almost like dating. Like, I don't care. I don't care. But like eventually, like, eventually you will. Like, it'll be fun to get to know new people from different places, learn about yourself in the process. And honestly, everything doesn't have to be like the deepest thing ever. Like sometimes it's just like, oh, I went to that dinner, never see that person again, but something to do. Yeah. Like that's fine too. It's just, I think a lot of what I'm realizing, #realizing stuff as I get older is just like having experiences in life. You know, those people that date, they're like, oh, I'm just really just here. People are supposed to experience me. Like, I don't know if I'm on that too. Maybe that's people on Twitter. Anyway, they say like, oh, experience people like it's not yours to keep, like open hand thing with the sand or whatever. And so, is it sand?
Unsure.
Because what would make more sense if you're squeezing sand, it would run out of your hand faster.
Correct. Yes.
Ish. It's still gonna run out a little bit if your hands is webbed. So maybe it's cupped. Regardless.
Okay. Not
choking folks to death and feeling like, okay, this is my one friend. I did it, y'all, right into the show saying, oh, she didn't call me bad. Now it's over. Like, continue to do this, expand your horizons. And it never hurts to just have different people for different things, which we'll get into. But you can always make a new friend. So like even getting to a place, I feel like where we are now, where it's like, oh, okay, we got like some solid gang. Like I still am always like, you know, applications are available to be filled out because you never know. So speaking of that, have you ever tried using social media or like apps to connect with new people like Bumble BFF?
No.
Really?
I think I downloaded Bumble BFF once when I was out of town for something.
You were like, I need a friend for the weekend. Hey girl, can you
No,
come with me to this store?
I can't fully remember why I did. I know because I don't want to lie. I know that at one point I remember looking at that. Maybe it was when I first got out here. I'm not sure. And very quickly I was like, this ain't for me.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Same way I don't like dating apps.
Yeah, fair. It's,
you know,
it's an app, so
yeah,
it's a risk.
Yeah,
Everything's a risk.
There's just something about it that I think I'm a big person on. I can't really read people through the phone. I'm pretty bad at that.
Well, how you gonna meet them?
But in person, I can read people pretty well. And so not having that
human interaction,
it just really doesn't do it for me. But I've heard successful stories of it.
Yeah, I have a success story.
Yeah,
but before that, well, I guess we'll do Bumble BFF. So mine is more so like, not me being like you. It wasn't the weekend; it was the summer, so a little bit longer. But when I interned out here, you know, I'm always like, oh, my oldest friend in LA, like shout out Madison. Went on Bumble BFF, and it's funny because I don't even think I didn't match with her. Like we both matched with this other match. Is it that what's it called? Anyway, is it matching? I don't remember, but
I'm
this other girl, and then she invited me, Madison, this other girl, like all to like walk 3rd Street Promenade, which is like so. I'm new,
fresh
to LA.
out here,
yeah. Fresh out,
yeah.
And me and Madison ended up being like. So then that's how I met Madison. So like you might meet a friend through somebody else. So yeah, so it's not necessarily like shout out that girl, hope she's well. It's not necessarily like, oh well, I met her on the app and we've been together since. But like see how God can bring people to you. And like Madison and I went to dinner like 2-3 weeks ago. So we've been friends now like 6-7 years.
Wow.
Because that's kind of crazy. Whoa. Yeah. Not age, but just because I took a chance. Like I didn't know anyone. I wasn't even 21 yet because you know, late birthday. So I was like 20 in LA. About to go into senior year of college, interning, living in downtown, working in West Hollywood. Didn't know. We were like, well, sure, that'll work. Like we didn't know. Like we were like downtown LA, and that's where I lived. Crazy thinking back on it. People was hollering out in the park at night, but I was a G back then. I didn't even tell nobody because I didn't want to be scared. So anyway, you never know what can happen. And then the other one is social media. Like, are you the type to like swipe up on somebody's story? Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm scared of you.
I have no.
I'm about to do that now.
I have no reservations for some reason when it comes to a slide in the DMs. Not like for dating. I do have reservations there. But I don't know. I just think,
hey girl.
Yeah, there's nothing. If I'm doing it, it's because I've seen something. Like, whether you posted a video and I was like, this is extremely relatable, or I'm glad somebody said it, or you're hilarious. It never hurts to compliment people. I think we could use more of it for sure. And so I will easily send through hey girl, and I'm not really expecting much out of it.
Oh, okay. I am.
You're like, come on, let's
dinner tomorrow. Not that, just you better like respond or I'll feel weird.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. 100%.
I'm not like you gonna be my wedding,
right?
Maybe.
You never know.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm huge. If I'm a fan, I'm not afraid
your
to
work.
say it.
I'm a fan of your work. I think too, it's like that can be a good way to test the waters because you can be like, okay, we move from it's almost like a boy kind of, but it's like you move from DM to what's going on in the world? Move from DM to texting,
right? And
then it's like, oh, we really trying to like hang out. Like if I slide up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd love to go there. Like we need to hang soon, and they're like, haha, yeah. Then y'all probably not gonna hang.
She wasn't,
maybe follow up,
right?
Maybe one time, not too much. Don't want to be a stage 5, but otherwise, just be like, oh my gosh, or come in hot. And be like, I was going to go there on Thursday if you want to go again if you're free. Like something like that. And they might be like, nah, but let's go to the beach next Saturday. Like something like that. So it puts the balls in the court.
Yeah.
It sounds so datey. I feel like we're talking about
it. But that's the thing. I think
it's a relationship.
Yeah. And I think people give you so many tips on how to do dating, how to do romance when friends are way more important in my opinion. And
husbands
and a harsh truth, yikes, is I really think, and this is coming from experience, but I really think when you start figuring out what type of friends you want, when you start figuring out what friends are great for, the love of friendship, your dating life will be better because you're no longer looking to whoever you're dating for everything.
Period.
You're probably going to start looking way healthier. way healthier reasons. And now you have the support. Like, it takes a village to live this life.
Right.
And
couple villages.
Yeah. I just think some of you could probably use a couple more friends. And maybe we want to be dealing with some of the things we're dealing with in the dating world.
Because it's giving void and it's giving, oh, I need someone to fill it. Or even when you don't be that person that drops all their friends because you're dating somebody. Like David and I touched on this. I don't know why. Anyway, it just annoys me so much because it's like, like I am going to ride for my people whether or not they're in a relationship because I was here before him, probably be here after. So
yeah,
bye. Like, or hey, maybe if I like you.
But the biggest part of that too is I can't imagine. There was a time, but like as you grow up, I can't imagine dating someone that I can't intertwine my friends with.
Because what's wrong with him?
Right. Like, why are you hiding?
Why y'all don't like him?
Right. And then also,
he's crazy.
Love is blind. Like you can.
I feel like we
can get a little delulu, and you need your friends around to kind of snap you too.
Oh Lord.
They see things you won't see. They, they'll support you in ways that.
Oh, so he hate me? How many times have I said that to you?
A lot.
Hey,
a lot.
Knock it off, man.
That was a setup. The question was a setup.
A lot. You sound like 21 Savage. A lot.
But no, and it comes with time. But truly, I have become a lot healthier of a person, especially romantically, as I allowed my friendships to be deeper, allowed them to speak into me more, and prioritize them. In saying who I am.
Because it'll open up a new layer of vulnerability. And then therefore you're able to trust someone to be like, hey, X, Y, Z happened. And because that person on the outside, they could be like, no, Maia.
Yeah.
Maya's a private girly. And I think I'm in my private era. But at first I used to be like, hello, knock, knock, who's there? But it got to a point where because I was like, we had so much proximity, I was like, okay, I know these things, but we'll see what she tells me. And so I was just like, And she would be thinking she was breaking some news to me. I would be like, whoa, you got me there. But anyway, because of like being able to have friendships and relationships, like you can talk to someone. Now, don't have everybody in your business. This is not about dating. We'll go different episode. But I do think it's helpful to always get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion. If you're having some type of like doubt, it's probably because in your gut, you already know what time it is.
Yeah.
I fear. Yeah. Also, like, who wants to date somebody that don't have no friends?
That is the number one
red flag.
Number one red flag. Like, I run. Like, don't walk. Don't peep in. Don't skip.
Like, well, maybe he's new here.
No, I just think
you're a red flag if you don't have no friends. You watching this. That's basically what they said. Damn. So start tonight. Search it for you.
But it circles back to what friends can do, like how they refine you, right? How they refine you, how they support you, how they see you, how they love you. All of that is so important for your health,
right? Like,
I could go on for days, but it is. I'm not saying that in a way of like you don't have friends. Something's probably not. Something's wrong with you. I'm more so saying if you don't have friends, there's so much of you that you haven't figured out. And I can't be the one to walk you there alone.
Why do you say that? What haven't I figured out?
I just think it takes other people to show you who you truly are. Like you can sit in your home all day and be like, I think I'm discovering myself.
Yeah, of course, because ain't nobody talking to you.
Yeah, or I have this theory on myself. But sit with yourself long enough, you're going to change your mind. So
not you thinking you nice and you're not.
Right. And so I
just haven't had a chance to be mean.
Whoa. Ooh, maybe.
Hello?
Right.
You think you're trustworthy because you haven't had a chance to be trusted.
Right.
Like, that's a gag.
Like,
see?
That's all I'm saying. True. Like your friends
because I be figuring it out and then I'll go out in the world and I'm like, here I'm being tried right away. Like I'm like, I had it all set before I left my apartment. Yeah. With that, what advice would you give to someone who thinks that they don't need it anymore? Hashtag no new friends. I feel like we're dancing around that, so we might as well hammer it.
I don't know.
Why do you think that? Really?
Mixed bag. I think.
Oh, so your applications are closed.
They're not closed. They're not closed. But I think, I was just reading up recently about what's that called? It's like Dunbar number. Essentially, it's like the theory that people can only sustain stable relationships of around 150 to 200 people.
Oh, that's easy.
Right. But
stable.
Right. But think about how many followers on Instagram you have.
Oh, fair.
And we love to say that everyone's our friends, you know, like all these people.
Yeah.
I might know everybody that I follow. Zendaya, I know you, girl. But so that's what I mean. Like I think of who you're inviting to your wedding, like how quickly you could get to 150. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like, hey, I'm kind of maxing out, I did read what I was reading about it was that you can't for sure say it's 150 to 200 for everybody. Mm-hmm. That might be a little less, might be a little more. But if you're maxing out, like, no stress, girly. Do you like stick with your people? That doesn't mean like stop being friendly. Stay kind.
Get away from me. I have friends.
Right. Exactly. At the end of the day, like as believers, we're called to love everyone. I'm called to not judge anyone. Be acceptant, be a servant, all of these things. But that doesn't mean that I have to sign up for the commitment of what it truly means to be a ride or die, a real friend. And that's just about knowing your capacity.
I think that's a good point that you said about what you're signing up for, because I think as I've gotten older, like my mom would say this a lot and I would be like, they are my friend. But like, as I've gotten older, like they were right. I feel like these people are your acquaintances. And it's like no shade. Like I think we use the word friend because that's very weird to be like, I'm going to see my acquaintances. Like nobody would say that. That's so strange. Yeah. So friend is just easily used and thrown around. But like what it takes to be a true friend is way under the 150 to 200, I think. Like that's why I was like define stable. So if you're at a place where you're like, I know that these are the people that I trust right now, and it can change. My advice would be stay open to that changing, because you never know if somebody will move away. Heaven forbid somebody y'all have fallen out, whatever that may be. Like life is gonna life regardless. But there's nothing wrong, I'm coming to learn, with being like everybody you meet, you don't need to be like, okay, let's get closer, I can tell y'all my business. Because why? Yeah. They don't deserve it. And if they do, they'll reveal that in time. And then your life will make a space for the people that are supposed to be in it.
Yeah. I think it's the same way, not to circle it back, but people are so quick to compare it in dating is, shout out Jay Shetty, if you ever listen to his podcast. He was talking about you should start from ground zero. Like trust should start at zero. Not negative, not I don't trust anybody. Okay. Not positive. Not positive of I trust everyone. It's zero. I don't know you at the end of the day.
She's so good at that. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, this person is a stranger. Like,
no, and I mean stranger? That again, I'm coming at it like I'm gonna love you. I'm commanded to love you. I will.
But you're a stranger.
I am welcome, but you are a stranger.
Now you don't be a stranger. Come back next week for part 2.